Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and it is Thursday again, which means it's another live stream. All right, let's see here. We'll go ahead and see who we have in the chat. We have SadMac356, Yeep, and we have Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Hi, Jeremy. And we have Jesse, I8386SX. Hi, Jesse. Jesse says, good day and or night. Yes. All right, let's see here. I have set a new coffee goal because we are now in May and it's just the standard tip jar. And that's about it. All right. I think it is probably about time to just go ahead and get on with the live stream, even though the pile here is growing. I really want to get these batteries out. So we will go ahead and pick back up where we left off on Tuesday. I have not moved the 386 1-bit. Or 8 bits or 9 bits. Let's see, is this a parity system? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 36, yes. There are 36 memory chips in the Bank Zero, which means, yes, it is a parity system, so I haven't moved it even 9 bits. Whatever that means. All right. So we will quickly go over that this is a 386 that I bought from the System Source warehouse sale. It is 25 megahertz according to the megahertz display, but the processor is underneath something, so I can't visually confirm that it is 25 megahertz or if it's an SX or DX processor. Although the fact that there are 2 banks of RAM and it appears as if the banks are 32 bits wide does lead me to believe that this is a DX system. But I could be wrong. So we are going to have to remove all of these expansion cards and pull the motherboard out, and then I should be able to clip the battery and clean up any damage. And along the way, we'll figure out exactly what board this is. I guess the first thing I can do is go ahead and acknowledge that Jeremy is telling us that Varta cauliflower is the worst veggie on earth. I happen to like cauliflower, so I think that statement is denigrating to edible cauliflower all around the world. Besides, if Varta batteries were a vegetable, it would be not leeks. It would be arugula, because arugula is just basically sadness. Prove me wrong. Whoop, I pulled the wrong phone out of my pocket. The only reason I have 2 phones in my pocket is because I'm still transferring stuff over from my old phone to my new phone, so I have my old phone in my pocket in case I get a pop-up notification on it. It does not come to my new phone. Gupbomb says, yo, I just got a Sun Ultra 5 and I'm messing with with it with a blue SCSI. Oh, nice. So, all right. I wish my new camera had a 2x optical zoom like my old phone, but, well, I guess that's progress. Instead of a telephoto, it has a more, it's wide and ultra wide. Like SCSI. Thanks, Apple. Alright, so I was going to try to take some photos so I can put things back the way they were. Not because DOS PCs are that particular, but, well, I might like to restore this to the way it came. Someone put a lot of thought into what slots to put what. I'm also going to take a picture of the front panel jumpers, just in case this board's not documented. So there we go. Got some pictures. I'll get the front panel jumpers once I pull the board out a little, because they are underneath the drive cage partially. Let's see exactly what we have in this system while we remove the cards so I can get the motherboard out so we can get the battery out. Also, at some point I am going to take a blue SCSI, speaking of blue SCSIs, and pull this SCSI drive out of this computer and put the blue SCSI in initiator mode and create an image of this hard drive, because it could have valuable drivers on it, such as perhaps the drivers for the SCSI card itself. Ah, we have Cass. Hi, Cass. Welcome. All right, so we are going to remove these cards. And let's see here. So I'm going to unplug the keyboard and monitor. All right, so in the first 16-bit slot from this side, we have a Paradise PVGA 1A video card, which I believe has 512 kilobytes of RAM on it. No. 41... No, I think it may only... That doesn't seem right. 41... Oh, it's got 41 464s on it. Oh, so it has 256K of video memory. And looking at the branding on it, I bet it was pulled out of a Hewlett-Packard. But for a slow 386, the Paradise cards are actually fairly decent performers. So it's an HP Vegas 256K. Made in Ireland. All right. So no doubt someone pulled a card from another computer to upgrade this one. All right, the next thing we have is a floppy drive external adapter of some sort. Possibly for a tape drive. Because it looks like we have the cable here. That comes off the floppy and SCSI controller. And goes to a header, and that's plugged into power. So I'm presuming it might be for an external tape drive, and that might be so you can plug it into power. Maybe... Well, okay, I'm going to say tape drive because there's already two floppy drives in here. So it's probably a tape drive. All right, that's the floppy cable. So there we go. There's that. And then this card, we have a Seagate, I believe. Yes, it is a Seagate Technology SCSI card. I don't see any branding on it, but I believe this is going to be the floppy controller. This is probably going to be the SCSI controller, and that's most certainly going to be the boot ROM. Oh, there we go. That might be the model number, an ST02, and that's the PAL. Oh, or that's the part number for the PAL. Or it's the PAL for the ST02. Does look like there were provisions for something on the back, but it does not look like that was pins for another SCSI port. There does not seem to be enough signals going to it. So I'm not sure what that's about. Or maybe it is enough for SCSI. Anyways, there we go. Seagate SCSI card. I would dump the ROM for archival purposes, but the ROM is soldered on the board, so... Alright, and last but not least, we have a I/O card here. And it looks like it gives us 2 serial, a game port, and a parallel port. And it does look like that both UARTs are populated, along with both 75 188s and 1489s. 1488s and 1489s. 75 188s, the same as a 1488. As for the manufacturer of this card, I have to pull up the FCC ID. Looks like that card edge connector could probably use a little bit of a clean, because it looks corroded. Because it is a little bit corroded, because it was in this slot right beside the battery, so we will have to... So it looks like we've got some green corrosion in these 2 slots. And we'll have to see what else after we pull the board out. But it almost doesn't look too bad. Famous last words. Alright, we should be able to remove the motherboard now. After I unscrew it. Alright, so it looks like we have 1 screw here. And there is a little bit of corrosion on that pad, and I bet the screw is probably slightly green. Whatever motherboard this is, it is version 5.2. So, let's see, there's a screw there. And actually, that could quite possibly be the only screw holding the board in. No, there must be another screw here somewhere. All right. Oh, there we go. It's on the front. Okay, now I felt the board move, so if I slide it now... No, I think there's another screw. Hold, please, while I attempt to locate the last screw. I guess maybe I should unplug this SCSI cable. Well, there's our first answer. It is I believe that is a 386DX, although that looks too small to be the 386. That might be is that a math coprocessor? Hold on, I need to turn this because I'm looking for a screw that I seemingly can't find. Otherwise, oh, there we go. Got it. All right, so let me take a picture of the front panel connectors. Good morning, Sylvestron. Welcome. I'm going to take a picture of these front panel connectors. Because I don't know if the board is documented on the RetroWeb, and I don't know how well the connectors are labeled. Alright, the connectors are not labeled at all. Haha! Mystery solved. Hold please, and I will let you see the... It is a 386DX. With a CoPro. Yay! Alright. So let's see what we got here. So we'll take a look and see if this board's on the RetroWeb, but we have a Chips and Technologies chipset. It looks like there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chips in the chipset. We do have a 386 DX20. Oh, so it's a 20, not a 25. And the math coprocessor is also rated at 20. So the front case badge and megahertz display is wrong. I wonder if someone had to downgrade it because for some reason. Alright, well this at least is one good thing. This means I don't have to go find an 80287 because it's got an 8387 in it. Yeah, it's a little bit dusty. Sylvestron says shiny. And we got that darn battery there. So let's zoom in to the top side of the board now that I've got it free. So there's what we've got on the top side. Quite honestly, we got some slot carnage, but we'll see what's under the battery. And then on the underside of the board, well, we have a little bit there, but I'm actually not sure if that's trace damage or if that's like dirt on the board. Yeah, okay. That's probably some sort of damage. Alright, well, we'll have to take a look at that and see if we can't clean this up. So, kind of concerned about this one slot here. It looks like these two pins are deformed. Yeah, this must be an early 386 board because it's got a 287 socket. So this tells me this board was released before general availability of the 387DX. But I guess after they had, I get specs for it. Although maybe they always had specs for it. No, actually, it is just a, it's just a 386 board. With the 387 was not ready when the 386 first came out. So there are some very early 386 boards that I think only have a 287 socket. Although I think most of them may have a 387 socket, but also have a 287 socket. Just so that you could put a math coprocessor in it when you bought it. Because Intel, I think, had some... Well, they were not ready to put it on the market with the 386. I don't know why right offhand. Alright, I'm trying to find a place to set this down. There we go. Because I want to set the case down on the ground. Alright. Now, we're going to have to pull this... Oh. Alright, so this power supply, I might as well pull it, and we'll at least give it a post-mortem analysis. It is dead. It might be repairable. It might not be repairable. It is quite possible that I will pull this power supply out, we'll open it up, and it will be a charcoal briquette inside. But the good thing is, I do have a couple of this style power supply. Should the need arise, I'll just... In fact, I've got one that's been recapped that might be perfect for the system since it's got a SCSI hard drive in it. Because I've got one that requires a hard drive to regulate 12 volts correctly. Alright, that is quite nasty dirty. Hi, Chris, welcome! It's the, that's interesting brand. It's a SIS brand switching power supply, serial number 900810. How much you want to bet that this was the 810th power supply? Nasty, 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 dirty. Someone didn't keep their system clean. Alright, let's put this somewhere where it won't fall to the ground. And we'll take a look at it. Yeah, I'm more likely to believe that that's the 810th power supply more so than the 900,810th power supply. Chris is watching and playing with SCSI drives and Retro Bright. Yes, fun fact. Apparently, if you Retro Bright laser printer parts and then set them near a carbon dioxide detector, it will detect elevated levels of carbon dioxide. Your mileage may vary. No telling if it was the Retro Bright part of the process or just the fact that laser printers put off VOCs. I couldn't tell you. Anyways, Chris was retro-brighting a laser writer part, or not a laser writer, yeah, laser writer. The HP laser writer part when I got there. And so he pulls it out, he shows it to me, it looks really good, and he sets it down on his table that has a little CO2 detector on it, and within a couple seconds it starts going off. And he first says, oh yeah, the carbon monoxide detector's going off, and I'm like, thinking to myself, it seems like an awfully weak alarm for carbon monoxide. So he's going around opening windows upstairs just to kind of let it air out, which quite honestly, it was just the right weather outside that it felt really good when he opened the windows. And then I walk over to it and I look at it and I notice it says CO2, not CO. Chris still doesn't know what happened. But yeah. Ew. Okay. Gross. There's a blob of something in this case. And that's all we're going to do with this. Sorry. This power supply is going over in my quarantine. Yeah, my system is bugged. Yeah, I don't want to know what kind of blob that was. This power supply is going into my power supply quarantine, and it will wait for such a time as I will take it outside and take the leaf blower to it on a very windy day and blow whatever that is out and far away. Something built a nest in it, probably. And there we go. There. It's over in my quarantine. Where's my quarantine? Right beside the door. The door that goes outside. Alright, so let's take a look at this battery here. And I think the first step is to admit you have a problem. And the second step is to attempt to remove the problem. And then the third step probably is to realize that the leads are so close to the board you're not going to be able to get your side cutters down there. And we're probably going to have to desolder it. Let me see here. I might be able to get this one this way because I don't think there's any traces here. I don't think I'm going to be able to. How about let's just do this the safe way. And we'll use some low melt. Alright, let's see here. Soldering station. Go ahead and warm up the soldering station. I'll find my nerd safety glasses. And we will use a little bit of heat to get the oh, there they are. All right. There we go. Nerd glasses on. Yes, these are actually safety glasses. They have side shields. Desolder safely, my friends. Alright, now if I can find the tube of... Well, actually, I think first I will just attempt to use regular solder. By first adding some fresh solder. And then I will try to wick it all up. Oh, actually, I might be able to. All right. There we go. I smell fish. Oh, wait. It's probably the tip of my soldering iron. I've desoldered so many caps with it, it has a lingering smell of fish. Alright. Now I just need to find the wick. Oh, there it is. The motherboard is so big, it was actually on the wick. Alright, so let's see if we can't wick this solder up. Alright. Alright, got one leg out. And I got both legs out. Although I may have taken the top pads with it, but I'm gonna blame that on the battery. Oh, no, actually it looks like they're still there. Or maybe they're not. Alright, well, it's repairable. It is repairable. Alright, we got the battery out. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So we got version 5.2, the board. It does look like we have some corrosion here. And I think we did lose this battery terminal, but it is... I'd be willing to bet it is probably a battery terminal that's on a ground plane. Yeah, those ISA pins look pretty bad. I am somewhat curious if some contact cleaner will maybe help clean them up. I'm looking for some foam swabs that I know I have around here somewhere. Run through the dishwasher wouldn't hurt. So much caked on dust. Yeah, I know. Actually, got some brushes that actually might do a pretty good job of brushing dirt off. Yeah, I might have to replace these two 8-bit parts of the slot, because that looks a bit crusty. They look really crusty. I am looking for my foam swabs. Oh, there they are. Oh, that's right. That's why I... Tiny bit of white vinegar might get them back. Yeah, I don't like white vinegar. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll use it when I need to, but I just don't like the smell of white vinegar. Yeah, I may have to put some vinegar in them, but... Well, there's our answer. That slot is borked. Welcome, newer ham radio Elmer. Yep, that slot is... Why am I even going to bother putting contact cleaner in that slot? It is going to have to be replaced. In fact, if I'm going to replace it, I probably might as well just go ahead and replace the one beside it, too. Because at that point, if I'm risking removing one slot, I might as well just go ahead and replace them both with a brand new slot. Maybe it's just as well, because that'll give me a chance to investigate those traces there. So, there's those traces there. There's, like, these two traces there. And then it looks like there's 2 or 3 traces here. If I can figure out where they go, I can tone them out. They may... Because it's possible it's just solder mask damage. Alright, so we're going to have to replace 2 ISA slots. And then we've got... some possible damage on the bottom here. Let me see if I can't... Alright, that... Whatever's going on there is below the solder mask. However, it does appear as if I can see where these traces go, thanks to the fact that I think this might only be a 4-layer board. Hi, Francois. Welcome. Alright, so let's see if these traces are actually broken. So let's see here. This trace. So I think all these traces go. Okay. I see where. Okay, so these traces all go here, and it looks like they're actually kind of staggered. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I think there's another set of parallel pins that are coming off of here, but those don't look bad. So let's see if, okay, continuity. And I think this one goes here. Yep. And I think this one goes here. That's correct. And we got continuity. 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 Excellent. So if I can get the solder mask off really carefully to just make sure I clean up whatever's under there. Really carefully. Almost to the level of I don't really want to do anything because I might break the traces removing solder mask. Alright. But I should probably clean that up. So let me see here. I am not going to use a Dremel. Well, I don't see the tool I wanted to use, though. I'm looking for my fiberglass pen. I just want to very, very lightly and very carefully get this solder mask off and then probably flood it with flux, tin it just to reinforce the traces, and then I'll put some fresh solder mask down. Melamine sponge works well here too. Ah. Guess what? I have a melamine sponge. And that's actually even better because it won't leave fiberglass particles on my workbench for me to then get stuck in my arm. I don't know if do I want to wet it or... Chris says the $5 SCSI CD-ROMs from the swap meet passed the test. Yay! Cut a little square off. Might be easier to navigate. Ah, alright, let's, Vestron says it uses a bit of IPA with it, but he also press hard. Chris says that about half the floppy disks I bought did too. Yay! I'm hoping you failed that really noisy one you had. Of course, I guess it worked though, but it was kind of noisy. Alright, let me see if I can't find the fiberglass pin, because I think this solder mask is just a bit more tenacious than... Well, let's see here. Alright, where did I put it? Thing is, I normally put my fiberglass... Oh, there it is. It was exactly where I thought it was. I just don't know why I didn't find it the first time. Alright, so hopefully... Alright, so now that I've... Well, there we go. Solder mask is coming off. I see some nice shiny copper underneath. Well, there we go. Alright, there we go. I believe that, from what I can tell from that, I think all that was just solder mask. I don't think there's any... I don't think there is any trace damage here. Let's see, what's that? Oh yeah, that's solder mask. Vestron says, won't help you for tonight, but I moved to using a grinder pin for this kind of thing. Mechanic brand from AliExpress. Yes. I might. Well, actually, I don't usually order from AliExpress. And, starting real soon now, I won't order from AliExpress if it's not already stocked in the US. Because I would definitely have to know the bottom line price. If you know, you know. Luckily, Mechanic brand is probably, I can probably find it somewhere that's already imported. Because depending on how it's mailed, it could be really expensive to order it. Yeah, Jesse says AliExpress is pretty much depleted for the US at this point. My VL 2330 batteries are gone on AliExpress. They are just gone. Yeah, I think starting, I think May 2nd is the date, which means basically if you place your order now, it's probably going to count. But the de minimis exception for China and UK ends May 2nd. Not China, Hong Kong. China and Hong Kong, not the UK. Also, I think my UV Cure solder mask is... I didn't know this stuff went bad, but... Yes, Sedmac put it, current events be current eventing. Jesse says, I'll bite my tongue. Yeah, So, anyways, yep. Current events are current events, and... Well, my YouTube channel is, doesn't have near enough subscribers for me to have any sway whatsoever over said current events. But that is why I placed a UT source order last month, probably the last one I'll place in a while, to get some chips. And then we'll see how things pan out. Alright, so I'm just putting some UV Cure solder mask over this. The traces tested fine. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any corrosion under the solder mask. I think it was just solder mask. I think the... whatever that was appears to have been limited to the solder mask. Now I'm just going to put some UV Cure on this. Check the traces. I'll bring out my light. We'll cure it. And then I will simply lament over the fact that it'll probably be a while before I get some compact LTE batteries rebuilt. Assuming that's what the VL2330s are for. Alright, let's go get the UV cure light. Those are the Mac PRAM batteries. Ah, okay. Well, there is Oh, okay, I'm blanking on the name. Randy. Randy of the hardware store I shop at. Oh. Alright, well, while we wait for the UV Cure solder mask to do its thing, since this is taking up space on the workbench, you know, I think there's only one logical thing to do while we let this thing run its course. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get logical here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment, Wheel of Regrets. Here's your host, Justin D. Morgan.
Hey, who comes up with these titles anyway?
That's right. Let's whittle a few of these eBay packages down while we wait for the solder mask to cure. All right, so this first package here comes to us from an eBay seller in Arizona. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Arizona. So let's go ahead and open this up. And whoops, I like to contain the UV. I knocked my little UV containment mirror down. Alright, I don't remember what this is. Hopefully this is a channel purchase, otherwise I will feel embarrassed. Alright, and we have... yes, we have... cardboard. Cardboard. Hey, and it's not even priority mail envelope cardboard. Oh, I know what this is. Speaking of compact LTEs... it is a compact LTE hard drive caddy. These are incredibly handy for compact LTEs. They'll also, I believe, I think they also fit the LTE Elites, if I remember. Just with the proper size drive in it, of course. Capacity. There we go, and well, it looks like it's missing the screws to screw it closed, but sounds, it actually feels like this lid is probably going to stay just fine. Ah, there we go. Yep, there's no drive in it. It's just the caddy. So anyways, Chris is asking, is this the one that Steve-O Rama had for sale? I believe it is. I think he had two for sale, and he sent an offer out. And by the time I actually got to eBay, I noticed that there was one for sale. So I very quickly made it 0. Yes, it was for sale by Steve Orama. Yes. So I very quickly made it 0 for sale. Ah, it'll also work with the Armada 7700 and 7800. So there we go. Because sometimes when sellers pull the drive, they pull the entire caddy. And then throw the whole thing away. Chris says, yeah, that was a decent offering. Yes. So, all right. The next item comes to us from an eBay seller in Texas. So, hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Texas. Chris says I saw it, but I already have like a dozen spare. So, it looks like we have... Oh, guess what? We have a priority mailbox inside of here. There we go. Thank you note says, hi, Justin. Thank you. Please visit again. As long as it's not a bubble mailer. No, it's actually a cardboard box. Oh, that reminds me. I need to go sign for a package at the post office tomorrow. Because if I don't do it tomorrow, then it'll be Monday. And, oh! What do you know? Whoops! Well, I dropped part of it on the floor. Luckily, it's not fragile. Or it wasn't the fragile part. I have a compact LTE power adapter. And it even had the kettle cord for it, too. Yeah, Sylvestron says, I wanted to reproduce those, but the connector is impossible to find. Jesse says, I had the same idea and ran into the same problem. There's so many compacts that use it. Yeah, that connector is... Francois was asking which connector. I think it's the connector that goes into the laptop. It'd be that connector, because the other side's just going to be a standard laptop IDE cable. Francois says, oh no, my to-do list. Yep. All right. So let's see here. I need to set this aside somewhere because I want to go grab a box that is here. All right. So this next item, in seriously eBay sellers, you do not need to wrap computer parts in black plastic, especially when I check the mail and the neighbors walk up. I'm not sure what they thought. Maybe they buy stuff from eBay too. Comes to us from an eBay seller from Alabama. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Alabama. All right, at least it does appear to be the item I ordered. All right, one more layer of plastic. There we go. We have an A-open sound card. Look at this. In the box, although I don't think it's new in box. There we go. It is like the world's most depopulated sound card. Look at that. No wavetable header. No wavetable chip, no IDE chip, no extra components, just crystal sound chip, but at least it has the driver CD. So, I seemingly remember selling these sound cards at the computer shop, which is why I got this one. Because the box was unlocking memories. It says it's a wavetable audio card, so I'm going to put that to the test. Alright, I guess, well, since the UV light is still on, we will go to the next package here. Ah, actually, this is... Okay. These are from eBay. However, they are for my Retro Chip Tester Pro, so I'm going to set them aside. One of them has the SD card adapter and the power adapter in it, and the other is the case. So I am going to just set those to the side, because if I open those, I will want to install them. So we will go to this box here, which comes to us from an eBay seller from Michigan. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Michigan. Francois says Vogons has some docs about it. Oh, right. Ah, for once we get something wrapped in bubble or in paper. Excellent. Oh boy, I bet you all are gonna, like... I don't remember what this is. It is sticky bubble wrap. What is this? Oh, now I remember what this is. It's so we can get industrial. Cass says uncomfortable squeaky ASMR. Sorry about that. But I had to get the industrial backplane open. You're probably wondering why in the world I need yet another industrial backplane. Well, let me demonstrate. The Trident card goes here. The single board computer goes here. There is an immovable obstruction that goes here and over. There we go. That's why I picked this one up. Oh, there's even a nice little... Oh, wow. It's got a nice little warp to it. It's got a nice little warning. Recommend to use 6mm width spacer to install. Francois got a little song here in the chat. Bubble wrap most every day. I bought on eBay. I unfortunately haven't listened to that song recently, so I probably butchered most of it, but you're welcome. Okay, let's see here, because the UV light is still running. We are going to go to the next box here. Comes to us from an eBay seller in Pennsylvania, so hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Pennsylvania. Alright, I'm opening this one off screen because I'm pretty sure I know what it is. And given what the eBay seller tried to do, my address label's probably on the inner box as well. Important selling note. If you are shipping something by Ground Advantage, do not attempt to ship it in the priority mailbox. Especially to me. Or anyone in my zip code. Because our postmistress is on the ball, and I have a feeling this thing got all the way to my post office to get sent back for postage. So, yes, if you ever send me something by Ground Advantage, at least wrap the priority mailbox first. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what the seller did. Okay. Yeah, okay. There's where the address label was. Yeah, they tried to get away with just doing this doodly-doo. And, okay, I'm not going to say that it definitely was my postmistress. But, yeah, somewhere along the postal stream, they, this item got kicked back to the seller because it was Ground Advantage in a priority mailbox. But yeah, I definitely, the postmistress is very nice, but, yeah, she probably would send something back if it was in the wrong package. Anyways, I picked up a compact portable 3 keyboard that has a new cable on it and has the feet. Because I have a portable 3 from Mike's Mess, and while I think that keyboard has a new cable on it, one of the feet was missing. And I was watching this, and the seller sent me an offer, and I accepted it, and something tells me the numlock and scroll lock keys on this are not working. Alright, well, okay, so it's a keyboard with a new cable, but some broken keys. Wonderful. Well, looks like I might be taking making one good complete keyboard from 2. Because, yeah, it looks like there might be something wrong with the membrane. Alright. The Vestron says the scannables on the shipping label should determine what type of postage it uses. Yeah, great for the environment. Well, our post office supplies packing materials for priority mail, but you can only put priority mail postage on it. That's the cost of getting the free priority mail packing materials, is you put priority mail postage on it. And yes, if you put the wrong postage on it, it gets sent back to you. Well, actually, I think the post office can have it, can either send it back to the mailer, or they can mark it postage due and deliver it. It's possible that because it was using eBay postage, it might have well, it may have depended on how far it got to me before it got discovered. Because I have received items postage due from eBay. Alright, the UV curing light is still running, so we are going to go to this next item, which also comes to us from an eBay seller in Pennsylvania. Oh, the USPS also doesn't like you reusing priority mailboxes. If it's a priority mailbox, even one that's already been used, you can only use it for priority mail. Jamie said, oh, hi, Jamie, welcome. Jamie's Hack Shack says, back in the day, you could turn those boxes inside out, and they wised up to that. Yeah. Now the inside of them printed priority mail. All right, so from this eBay seller in Pennsylvania, I bought the thing I least needed. Believe me, I only bought this because it was really cheap. And because I had a coworker give me a parallel port scanner that didn't have the cable. Anyways, I should probably go to full cam for this one. This is supposedly a new in-box parallel scanner. Although there's no tape seal on it, so I am going to open the top here and... Oh, actually, you know, it might actually be new in box as described. Because there's the power adapter. Okay, I am noticing something here. Where's the software? Uh-oh. Please tell me that the software's in here. Okay, well, the power adapter has signs that it's brand new because it's got styrofoam stuck to it. Well, it is no longer new in box because I just removed it because I noticed that Jeremy says, are you starting a parallel peripheral collection? I have a parallel Seagate tape drive if you want. I'm not intending to start said collection, but it might look like it. Yes. Okay, so I've got the scanner and the power adapter. But there is no cable and no software in the box. So this is the point of the stream where A, I see that yes, the UV light is still on. And B, I am going to go look at the eBay auction listing because this is the point of the stream where I'm going to see if the auction listing really did say new in box, because there was no software in this thing. And more importantly, no parallel cable. I bought this thing because it was supposedly new in box. It is not new in box. It is missing parts. I know, no cable. So now I have 2 parallel scanners and 0 cables. I mean, someone's probably archived the software for this. It's a Visioneer, which I think was a fairly popular brand. But that's beside the point. I know, Joe L. Hi, Joe. Oh no, the collector's value's ruined. No, I was going to do a video on it. I was thinking of doing a video on, like, things the parallel port was used for. Not with that scanner. No, I won't be with that scanner because there's no software and no parallel cable. Even if I did pay only $20 for it. It's supposed to be new in box. Yeah, with tax it was $15 plus $5 shipping. Oh. It says AOL disk not included. Okay. Condition new. A brand new, unused, unopened, undamaged item in its original packaging, where packaging is applicable. Yeah. Da. Yeah, according to eBay. They take a picture. They say no AOL disk, fine. Alright, sad face. Whatever. No, I think it was supposed to come with the cable. I called it new in box. No AOL disk. Includes... Oh, that's what software it includes. Alright. Well, actually, without the manual, I couldn't tell you what it was supposed to include, because I'm not sure if it says on the box. These parallel scanners usually came with the cable to go from the computer to the scanner. I think they're straight through cables, so I mean, I could probably get the cable and hopefully someone's archived the software. But this is not what I call new in box, because it doesn't include the award-winning Paperport software. It doesn't include TextBridge Pro OCR software, which I know is probably junk, but still, it doesn't include MGI Photo Suite 3 Special Edition. It doesn't include PictureWorks Photo Enhancer, and it doesn't include Web Publisher Link, which is probably all insecure as all get out. And most importantly, although they did say, it doesn't include my 500 hours of free internet access for a month, but that was okay. They did at least say it didn't include the AOL disk. I find it funny that they actually managed to notice that it said includes AOL disk to say that it didn't include the AOL disk, but how they completely missed the fact that there was other software that was supposed to be included too. Oh well, I guess, well, I can probably still do the video, but as he says, so that's where HP got the idea to skip including cables. George says it was supposed to include cable. Yeah, I know. Hi, George. Welcome. Yeah, it was supposed to include the cable. The eBay auction listings, just... There is one photo of the open box, but it's of an angle where you can't really see inside the box very far to see that the software and the cable's missing. Francois says, so I should go to bed. I have my PowerBook 520C to test tomorrow after the recap. Oh, I think I see why the UV light hasn't kicked off yet. It's on constant. Well, we have, like, one more box to open tonight, and then we'll pull the lamp off the thing. Alright, this last item here... Okay, so I have 2 packages, but I'm only going to open one more, because the other one's far away. And this one's right behind me. So we have this last package here that comes to us from a seller in California. So hi to all my viewers and eBay sellers in California. We'll open this. That way at least I can then know that my huge stack of boxes isn't going to fall over. I think I've bought from the seller before. I recognize their packaging. They used shredded cardboard to hold the item in place. That explains why this was so heavy. Alright. You all are probably never going to guess what this is. I just gave you a slight hint, but... that was to kind of forestall the Trident card guesses. Jamie says Vic 20. Nope, it's not a Vic 20. There might be a 20 in the model number. Let me check. I mean, there's a 2 in the model number. There's also 2 of something on the board. least it looks intact. You know, I'll show you a little... Oh, I don't even have table cam view on. Oh, well, then that actually gives me the perfect excuse to, like, zoom in really far, and we'll zoom out. Joe L's guessing an Inforce 2. Jean-Francois Paré is guessing a Hollerith machine. I don't know what a Hollerith machine is. All right, we've got some artsy super zoom in here. Hi, Joe and Jean-Francois. We will zoom this out slowly for dramatic effect. Ooh. Ah. Ron of Ron's Computer Videos. Dual P3, yes. Oh, oh, the first machine to tabulate a U.S. census. Oh, I-820. Oh, before they renamed to Pentium. Oh, there we go. The UV light kicked off. Yes. Yeah, we got a dual slot 1 motherboard with dual copper mine Pentium 3 CPUs. And lots of RAM. I think this might be a gigabyte of RAM. It's got onboard SCSI, AGP, PCI, ISA, dual Pentium 2s. It's everything you could want for a... Francois says, I'll stick to my BP6. Sylvestron says, nice. Jean-Francois says, people named Francois know their old computer history. Yes. Ron says, dual Pentium 3 and 4 billion caps. Yeah. Yeah, when this thing needs recapped, it's going to be like, yeah, repeat 4 billion times. At least it looks like they might have used 2 common or 3 common values. Because you know this is going to need recapped at some point. But yeah, a dual Pentium 3 motherboard. I probably will run Linux on it, quite honestly. I have an idea of a possible distribution to try running on it, too. Alright, let me see if I can't set this board somewhere where it's not going to fall over, and we'll get back to our... Oh, there we go. We'll set it there. Alright, now that we are done with Wheel of Regrets, the UV... My board UV cure station kicked off. It is definitely a board UV cure station and not a nail curing device. Pay no attention to the Amazon listing description. Link is not in the video description. All right, there we go. I think our UV cure solder mask is cured. Jeremy says, or Arch. All right, so now let's take a look at the damage on this side of the board. So it does look like I am going to have to remove these 2 slots because this one is broken. It broke live on stream. And if I'm going to desolder 1 slot, I might as well desolder 2. I don't know that I'm going to do that tonight because I'd have to go find the 8-bit ISA card slots that I have somewhere, and I guess I'm at least glad that these are 2 separate pieces. So I can desolder this and this, because I certainly don't have another one of those. Sadmax says, hey, it's a UV light. Doesn't really matter Whether it was intended for curing nail products or solder mask, the way I see it. Francois says haiku. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's UV light. The solder mask doesn't know. Actually, you know, maybe we should remove those slots just to kind of get a little bit more under there. But quite honestly, I think we dodged a bullet on this board because there was no broken traces on the bottom. And I quite honestly think that is going to turn out to be just solder mask damage. So it's really just replacing the two slots. Sylvester says, I mean, technically you don't see the UV light. Yeah, you are correct. You are technically correct. The best kind of correct. Cass is asking, wait, is that one ISA slot longer than the other 16-bit slots? Yes, it is. Sylvester smiles. Yep. Or, it's an emoji. He got the reference, I believe. This was a slot for a RAM upgrade card. So this is, I think, going to have all 32 bits on it because it's a 32-bit CPU. So you would have. So the motherboard lets you have 8 megabytes of RAM on it. And then this would have been a RAM upgrade card that would have probably let you go up to either 16 or 32 megabytes. Oh, it's a salute. Okay. I was having trouble of telling which emoji it was. I need to clean my safety glasses. So yeah, this is for a RAM upgrade card. Jeremy says Zenith made a few cards for that longer slot. I don't know that this was a standard. So I would not assume that any computer that has this long slot is necessarily the same pinout as another brand. Unless someone can tell me that there actually is a name for that slot and there actually was a standard. Ron says ISA. It's like ISA plus. More ISA for you than that pesky microchannel. This is an anti-static brush. I'm just trying to knock some dust off. I'm half tempted to just go ahead and try to remove these slots tonight. But I was also partially tempted to maybe see if we can identify this board before I totally damage it by trying to remove 2 ISA slots. Yep. All right, let's see if we can identify this board. Sylvestron says it's a Soyo SY011. Jeremy sent out an example link. Actually, I think Zenith might have used a slightly different slot. Oh, no, it's an optical illusion. Never mind. Yep, these two are the same length. It was an optical illusion at first. Ah! Alright, well, Jeremy put an example card. That one looks like a... Oh, that looks like a CPU board. Ron says it's basically a 32-bit ISA slot. Alright. This is a Soyo SY011. Let me pull that up on the retro web. Oh, sure enough. Oh yeah, that's definitely it. All right, let's copy the link. Copy, paste the link. Ari says, or maybe the 12. Oh, let me fix that, Sylvestron. Let me fix that. There you go. Now you should be able to paste links. Cass says crazy. Francois, good night. Sleep well so that you can recap your power book, I believe you said. Oh, good. The RetroWeb has some archived BIOS images. We'll probably dump this one. And I think... Oh, there we go. And it looks like it supports 8 megabytes, but I do not have the RAM chips to do that. All right. So I guess let's, what time is it? Oh, it's 10:38. Almost thinking that maybe we should pull the other board out of the other computer, and although it's going to have corrosion on it as well. All right, I guess let's... All right, I guess we can try to get these ISA slots off because they need replaced. All right, let me... So I'm going to preheat the board with some hot air, although I don't think I need to preheat it much, because I honestly don't think there's a lot of ground plane on this board, although I could be tricked by the apparent thinness of the board. But first I need to liberate my desoldering hand piece, because it is... There we go. Board was covered with stuff. All right, let me preheat that. All right, let's preheat the board a little bit while we wait for the desoldering station to warm up. So at the moment, I just have this set to 100 degrees C. I'll bump the temperature up momentarily. Kind of slowly preheat it. That, and because my desoldering station takes a little bit to warm up, no need to rush the preheat. This is just basically to try to preheat any inner copper layers that might be thick and under these slots, so that hopefully the desoldering goes smoothly. All right, let's see what that gets us there. All right, so I'm going to start on this. All right, that gave me the answer I needed. Going to have to add some fresh solder, I think, first. At least these pins that were most corroded. Let me also turn this on. All right, let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to zoom in. Let's see if I can get at least a little closer to the action. That's a little better. All right. Let's see if that helped this any. Oh, that did. All right. think those are power pins. Or grounds. If anyone noticed, the first time I tried to desolder those two, they didn't sound the same. Alright. Looks like all those pins desoldered. Let me get the second row here. Not worried about solder bridges. Take care of that when I desolder. Adding new solder. Hopefully freshen the old solder. It's oxidized from battery corrosion. As well as it's kind of getting some heat in the board. And then hopefully that'll result in a successful desolder. Alright, this one made an odd noise, so I'm going to add some more solder. There we go. Alright. Let's see where we are in terms of slot removal. I'll very carefully rock the slot back and forth. feels like I got most, if not all, the pins free. Nice. Alright. There's the bottom side of the board. Looks like we got that up with no damage on the bottom side and the top side. It's probably good I needed to remove that because it does look like there's a little bit of battery leakage that made it under the slot, but it looks like I got the slot off with no damage. As Joel says, nice and clean. All right, and as for this slot, red X of shame. Yeah, aside from that battery leakage, but that has nothing to do with my slot removal. Yeah, looking at that... Oh, yeah, so actually it would have been in the board this way. So you can see that at least a third of that slot is just green and crusty, and there's that one pin that broke, and I believe that is actually one of the voltage pins, so... the slot would have not worked. Unless that happens to be a voltage rail the card you were putting in the slot didn't use. Alright, so we got one more to remove, and that's because there's two green pins. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it safe, and we'll just go ahead and replace both slots. I think I've got slots on hand. If not, you can still order them from Mouser. Can't guarantee I won't pay more for them than I did last time I ordered them, but Mouser does carry these card edge connectors. Kind of preheating the board just a little bit again. Alright, so now let's go ahead and refresh the solder here. I'm hoping this slot will come off just as cleanly as the first. And then we will take a look at the top side of the board, at the corrosion that was underneath. I don't think I need to remove any other components, because it looks like the damage may have been limited to the slots. So I think the motherboard power connector is probably fine. I don't think I need to check under it, and I think the keyboard connector escaped damage on this one. Alright. Well, have a good day, Sylvestron, and we'll see you later. Alright, That one's got a power pit rail there, so let's add a little more solder and... Alright, they need to come back to that one. May need to empty my solder. That looks like it's getting it. All right, there's that row. Actually, that looks like a pretty clean row. I think this board is, I want to say it's a 4-layer board, but I don't think it's got a huge ground plane in it like newer boards. Given how big the board is and easy it is to get these slots out, I'm suspecting this is an... And the fact it has a 287 socket on it, I think it just further confirms this is an early 386DX board. And it probably is 4 layers, and I don't think it's got a huge ground plane layer. Or if there is a ground plane layer, at least not in the area of the ISA slots. And one thing I'm going to have to look for on this board is to see if it has an external battery connector. Because I almost would rather just use the external battery connector if it has one than try to mod it for a battery. Oh, I see a date code on the board there. So that's going to be the date code that the PCB was laid out, probably, or produced. So I think that's going to be 1989, week 14. So someone wants to look up when the 386DX came out, compare it to that week. That'll tell us if it's an early 386DX board or not. All right, let's see here. How loose is this connector? Oh, wow. That just came right out. Nice. Another clean extraction. Very nice. There we go. It would have been in the board that way. There's the green pins. All right. Let's see if I can't. First, let me turn that off before I bump it and it tries to melt my monitor. Trying to kind of clean the area of the board around where especially around where the battery corrosion was on the slots. The thing is, the battery, I don't think the battery actually, like, I mean, I think it off-gassed, but there was no liquid electrolyte that hit the board that I can tell. Or if there was, it was minor. Because whatever it was enough to turn those two slots green, and this ground plane here, it's got some green on it, but I'll probably clean it up by reflowing the solder on that pad. With some flux. Actually, you know, why don't I go ahead and do this and not cash green. Yeah, it's more like a sickly green. Hi, Thomas. Welcome. So we got these two ISA slots off because the pins were green. And now I kind of want to carefully kind of scrape at the board where there's some possible corrosion on the under the solder mask. So I think we got some here. All right, I think that okay, looks like those traces are intact. All right, let me try these two. Board powered up and posted, so I'm thinking all of this, what looks like broken traces, is just solder mask or the start of corrosion trying to get under the solder mask. So it's probably good I'm scraping it off to clean it up, and then I do know I'm going to reflow that because I think that's supposed to be a ground pad because it is green. So I'll put some flux on it. So let's these are power rails. Again, that looks yeah, that looks good. I don't think there's any actual damage there. So we'll put some UV cure solder mask on the board in this area. We'll cure it and we'll be good. While it's curing, I'll go see if I've got some 8-bit slots. I think I should. I'm pretty sure I do. So yeah, I'm gonna put the solder mask on it first, and then I will reflow this pad here. There we go. Alright, so let me get a piece of something. This bag will work. Dispense some UV Cure solder mask. And one of these to dab it on lightly. Brush it on here. Doesn't really matter what color you use. The board won't know the difference. But this yellow solder mask is the closest to the original. So while I'm pretty sure you'll know that someone's put some solder mask on it, I'm hoping, well, I mean, if you pull it out of the case and look at the board, you'll be able to tell. What I'm hoping is, though, that once it's in the computer, in the case, that maybe, just maybe, it might be an inconspicuous repair. And not call attention to itself. There we go. I think that's good. All right, I'll set this piece of plastic off to the side. In case I need to apply a little bit more. And there we go. There we go. We got Randy's sticker there, covering the brand name of the device. All right, so we will give this a few moments to cure. In the meantime, let's go to the RetroWeb and see what it might say about this board. So it's either the Soyo SY011 or the Soyo SY012. Sylvestron wasn't sure. Quite possible that both it might be practically the same board. Oh, they are so close to being the same board. It's actually the same page on the RetroWeb. Okay. So this board uses a Chipson Technologies CS8236 chipset, which is the 386AT chipset. It is definitely not the single chip AT chipset, because there's like 7 chips in the chipset. Supports a maximum of 8 megabytes of RAM. Oh, so maybe on this board, at least when they released it, they didn't have a memory upgrade board. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's 7 chips in the chipset. They do have 2 versions of the BIOS archived. And they do have a jumper manual. Let's see if the jumper manual mentions an external battery. Yes, J20 is an external battery connector. So I'm not going to even bother to put a battery on this board. I'll just use the external battery header. And I've got some Ron's Computer Videos remote battery boards, which will make it really easy to just use the external battery. So, perfect. There we go. I'm not going to even bother putting a battery module there. I'll just use the external battery connector. All right. Now, I am curious, though. I wonder if there's a Mr. BIOS compatible with this board. Let's see here. I'll pull open the... Oh, let me go back to OBS so I can see the chat. Oh, no chat activity. All right, so let me go to the Mr. BIOS Archive version 2 spreadsheet. Oh, interesting. CS, so this is, the 8236 chipset. All right, unfortunately, it does not appear as if any of the Mr. BIOSes for this chipset have been archived. They may exist out there somewhere, but no one has archived them, so we will not be able to upgrade this board with Mr. BIOS. Alright, well, the thought was there. Now, however, my 486 board, I believe, 486, I believe there is a Mr. BIOS archived for it, so we may be able to improve its performance with Mr. BIOS. But unfortunately, this board, we will just have to stick with the BIOS it came with, unless there's a newer one on the retro web, but it'll be a... It won't be a Mr. BIOS. Yep. Well, maybe someone will find that BIOS out in the wild and archive it. Yep, I'm pretty sure there was a Mr. BIOS that would have been compatible. 8230. Actually, I'm gonna. I'm doing a search here just to see if maybe there is a Mr. BIOS archived. Reason why I was looking is because if there was a Mr. BIOS, then the Mr. BIOS might add features such as auto detection of the hard drive and possibly even larger drive support. Although this computer has a SCSI card in it, so it's not really as big of a deal because the SCSI card's BIOS will detect and configure the SCSI drives. All right, I think we're still waiting for solder mask to cure. Guess we can zoom out. If anyone joins, we'll see that we are curing and not just simply looking at Randy's face on a sticker. Oh, hi, Christian. Welcome. Christian's asking, are we snipping Varda bombs out of machines? Yes. Although in this case, it's actually a GP battery and not a Varda brand. But you can see that it actually had started to leak. And I think the main casualty was the two ISA slots. It turned green, although there was a little bit of, I guess, possibly a little bit that got under the solder mask, but the keyboard connector on this one survived the carnage, so that's a plus. While we wait for this to cure, I'm trying to see if I see the oscillators. I was curious about something. There they are. 40, 50, 20. Oh, interesting. Might have to look and see if there's a... There is a 40 and a 50 megahertz oscillator on this board. Interesting. The RetroWeb says it is a 25 megahertz board, but there are 20 megahertz parts installed on it. So I'm wondering if there's a jumper somewhere to select clock speed, because I see both oscillators. Might just have to boot into DOSBench and run a utility to determine the clock speed. It is entirely possible that the company that sold this computer overclocked the 20 megahertz part at 25 megahertz. So it would not surprise me. All right, I guess while we wait for this, let me see if I can find the... There we go. The controller card here that the card edge is a bit green on. So let me find my bottle of the good contact cleaner. There it is. That's... So this is Deoxit D100L. That's the 100% Deoxit. And I figure if anything was going to remove the corrosion from this gold, that probably would. Oh, actually, that actually seemingly did a pretty good job. So let me clean the corrosion off the back side of the board, and then I'll probably take another pass, because it's not totally clean, but that did a pretty good job of removing the green corrosion off that card edge. Alright, so let's... I mean, I think there's a few spots where the corrosion might have eaten through the plating, but I think there's more than enough of the original plating there. But I bet this card will make good contact with a new slot. So that's the back side. It looks like there is a little bit of green. Let's see. Right there. I'm gonna let this deoxit set a little bit. And then I'll... That is not a trivial dollar amount of deoxit I just poured on that. Actually, you know, I bet if I use a piece of this melamine pad instead of a Q-tip, add just enough abrasiveness. Especially on this one pin that's still a little bit green. There we go. And we'll get that side there. Here's the thing. I can't do much worse to this card than that leaking off-gassing battery did. Worst comes to worst, I'll find that the plating is gone enough that I need to tin the card edge with solder. Hopefully there's enough gold there or whatever that the card will make good contact still. Anyways, there we go. It's a little dull. But I think all the corrosion came off of it. And the deoxit will protect it, hopefully. Someday I'll order some of the deoxit gold, and if I do, this will be a card I'll put some deoxit gold on to further protect it. But for now, that's the way I'm going to try it. Just exactly like that. Alright, let's see. Is this cured? Oh yeah, I think that's cured now. Alright. I'm actually tempted oh, that's bubble wrap under my chair. Sure enough, there are both 40 and 50 megahertz oscillators on this board. And I don't see a jumper for selecting them. This is an anti-static brush, and I was just trying to knock some of this dust off the board. Because I was thinking that what I should maybe do maybe oh, hey, Will Jr. 880, welcome. Still loving the board. Definitely get guy who lives in the lighthouse vibes. Yeah. Oh. This might be, maybe this is a 20 megahertz version, because that chip there is marked 20 megahertz. Oh, this may be a 20 megahertz version of the board. Just saw. I'm tempted to oh, that was just where I removed solder mask. It was a blob of fiberglass dust. Alright. I was tempted to go ahead and put this board pull the power supply on the bench, hook this board up, and do a power up. Will says, "Can I say I am very envious of you having a basement? Haha. In Australia, for some reason, we decided we didn't need basements in general." Actually, even in the US, a basement's not a given. There's parts of the country where the soil just doesn't support basements, for example. Like, I think basements aren't common in Texas, for example. I don't think the soil there is really conducive for basements. Just the type of soil there is in the area. Or more like sand, I think, in a lot of those parts. And then I think in some places where it's cold, they don't put basements just for other reasons. Sadmac says, "Yeah, my home growing up doesn't have a basement." Alright, I think maybe we will try to power this board up. I just need to find a box to set it on. You would think that would be easy. Problem is, I need a box that's sturdy enough that it won't collapse under the weight of this board. There we go. Actually, kind of need a second box. Because of where I had to put this box, because of where the standoffs are. Yeah, maybe that'll be fine. Alright, so what am I going to do? We're going to do a power-up test here now that I've removed the ISA slots, cleaned up what might have been corrosion, put some UV solder mask on before I put the before I restore the ISA functionality with 2 new slots. I just want to make sure the board still powers up and posts. So we'll put the video card in. I guess I will go ahead and plug the keyboard in, so at least I can verify we can get into the BIOS. And let's see, video card, power. Yeah, okay, that should probably be good. Alright, let me see if I can't get the... Alright. It is quite possible that this board is going to post quite slowly because I don't have the turbo jumper on. But it'll be fine. I just basically want to make sure it still posts. So, alright, 3, 2, 1. Alright, we should have power. Here we go. I skipped the RAM check, if anyone's wondering. So I'm trying to hit delete here. Run setup utility. Alright, F1. Oh. What's the BIOS post string? Hold on. While we're here, let me take a look at the RetroWeb, the BIOS version posted. So ECNT 1102.03.03.89 -K8. Interesting. The one that's posted doesn't have a K8. This one does. Oh. But I just looked in the zip file, so the zip file... Yeah, the zip file does have a K8 in it. Okay. This BIOS has been archived. Alright, the important thing is... the board still posts. I have done no apparent damage during the corrosion mitigation process. So, alright, the keyboard connector is a bit loose. So I'm probably going to reflow it when I do the new ISA slots. Oh, actually, oh, that's why it's loose. I think the shield pins broke. So I may actually need to replace the keyboard connector because the shield pins broke off the front shield. I don't have any keyboard connectors, though. I'll need to order some. Well, Will says, I've spent the better part of the last 2 weeks deploying a, quote, Oracle database appliance. Yes, I just knocked something off the workbench that I didn't really want to knock off the workbench, but it's probably fine. So, alright, 2 ISA slots, keyboard connector. Oh, that's right. The last thing I wanted to do before I solder. So actually I guess Tuesday we'll probably pick up back up on this board where we left off tonight. Because I'm running out of time. So I guess what I'll do here, I don't have enough time to put a slot on, but I can at least finish cleaning this up. So there is some green corrosion on this. This, I think, basically is where one of the mounting screws goes, and it's... I thought it was just... Oh, the solder is not sticking to that. Interesting. I thought that was just a pad on the PCB, and it might be, but it's not taking solder, so I'm actually wondering if that is, like, something that's... maybe it's self-soldered to the board, but it doesn't take solder. Anyways, though, it does seem as if I might have at least removed the corrosion off of it. Okay, well, the green corrosion's gone. I think more so because I burned it off than I added fresh solder on top of the ground pad. Alright, but, well, I guess, corrosion cleaned off is corrosion cleaned off. So overall, it's a win. Do these gloves protect well against the solder wick getting hot? Nope, the heat still goes through the gloves. Yeah, these gloves are more for the chemicals than the heat. Alright, well, at least that pad looks good. So... Alright, so Tuesday... Anyways, I think this is about where we're going to start to draw the stream to an end, because it's 10 till. And I really don't have time to start soldering an... Well, because I have to find the ISA card edge connectors before I can start soldering them. And that will take me a few minutes. So anyways, I think that's where we're going to end the stream for tonight. So, I think we got some good progress on this 386. We cleaned up the backside of the board. We got the battery off. We cleaned off that area of the board. And we got the 2 ISA slots off that had corrosion inside of them. So Tuesday we will pick back up. Now, if I do find the ISA card edge slots, and ideally find a spare keyboard connector so that I could replace this one with one that's going to stay in place, then we will pick up with this board on Tuesday. Otherwise, I will order the parts I don't have, and we will look at the other computer with a battery that needs to be removed on Tuesday, and then we'll pick back up with this one once parts come in. So, the important thing is, though, the battery is off the board, so I don't have to worry about the battery causing any damage, even if it is a little bit before we get back to this board. And in any case, though, Tuesday, we may very well also go ahead and pull an image of the SCSI drive that was in this computer. So I may also have things set up so we can pull an image of the drive. Even if we then look at the other computer for purposes of getting its battery out. But anyways, so one or the other, we'll pick back up with that on Tuesday. So Sunday, I am... assuming I am not super tired from making a day trip to West Virginia on Saturday, I am planning to be at the meetup in the DC area. I will attempt to join Dave's stream for a little while I'm there, just to kind of let folks see what's there. Oh, it's a potential eBay regret in that box. We'll open it later. I'm hoping, yeah, I think it's extra strength box, so they charged more for it, and it's medium sized, whatever that means. It's not like there's a standard size for medium. Yeah, extra medium strength. Anyways, so I will try to join Dave's stream for at least a little while I'm up in the DC area, so y'all can see what's at the meetup. But Tuesday, we will continue on with the 2 computers that need batteries removed, either this 386 or the 486. That's actually one of those 486 DLCs and a 386 board. But anyways, we'll get the batteries out because the batteries need to be out. So I'm glad you all joined me tonight. Thanks for hanging out in the chat, being cool, giving me some moral support. We even still got some potential eBay regrets opened. And let's see here. Yeah, until next time, I'd like to ask you to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when I go live next. Oh, hi, Dave, and good night, Dave. Yep, hopefully, Dave, I will be able to join your stream for a little while on Sunday afternoon while I'm at the meetup. If I make it the meetup, otherwise I'll see if I can't join for a little while from my basement. So, yeah. Yeah, I think this weekend is like the last weekend that... Because I've had like almost every weekend traveling, so I think this is the last of the series that I know of like a whole bunch of travel weekends back to back to back to back. At least next weekend I'm going to try to not travel anywhere. So yeah, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when I go live next. Because as you know, I picked up plenty of computers at the swap meet, and some of them need work, more so than others. But priority number one was get these batteries out, and we at least did it successfully on this one tonight. And bonus, we figured out what board it is, and we figured out it is a 20 megahertz 386DX. Not 25 like the megahertz display says on the case, so yes, when we put the thing back together, we are going to fix the megahertz displays to make it say 20, because this is definitely not a 25 megahertz computer, which is weird. Will says, what's 5 megahertz between mates? I know, I get the distinct impression that certainly the computer wasn't sold as 25 megahertz and it was actually 20 megahertz. No, no one would have done that, would they? Anyways, with that, I am going to wish you all a great rest of your day. And let's see here, got my mouse in the right place. And yep. So, hope to see you all here next time. Take care and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care